most senior professionals don't have a networking problem. They have a conversion problem. They know a lot of people, but very few of those relationships consistently turn into real revenue. Hello, I am Chuki Obio, and in my role and in the work that I do with leaders and professionals, I keep seeing the same pattern. Highly capable individuals with strong networks, but a lack of intentional strategy around how these relationships that they have actually produce business. So I am starting a short Q&A series to unpack what's really driving revenue today inside professional services. And in the first session, I want to talk about the hidden revenue gap sitting underneath most networking and rain-making strategies, and what actually needs to change for progress.
Thank you very much, Chuki, for those answers. So as we deep dive into these Q&A answers, we're going to go into the first question. What's actually broken in traditional networking today?
Thank you so much for the question. I believe there are three things that are broken and can be fixed, right? High activity and low strategy in networking. So a lot of networking, low intentional strategy behind all of these random acts of networking. Also, a focus on the kinds of networking events as opposed to the kinds of results and outcomes that individuals want to drive. And then also, no system to convert relationships into revenue. A tried, tested, proven, and predictable system to turn revenue into relationships and then relationships back into revenue. It's a virtuous circle that repeats and compounds. That's what I see as the three things that are broken.
Moving on, question number 2. Where does the revenue leak really begin?
Yeah, where does the revenue leak really begin? I see it as being precipitated with a lack of alignment. So there's misalignment between relationships and revenue goals. As we know, what we focus on as it relates to goals, that's where our energy flows towards. Also, I see inconsistent follow-up. So someone has a really good networking interaction or conversation, and there's not that disciplined and diligent follow-up. I also see, Marco, a lack of clarity on what actually needs to happen as part of that follow-up. So what content do I need to send to be a value add? Or what context do I need to provide to be a strategic, trusted advisor? That's where I see value leakage happening.
Thank you very much. Now, question number 3. Why do many firms struggle to develop true revenue generators, not just practitioners?
Yeah, Marco, you phrased that question really well. Revenue generators as opposed to practitioners and just the dynamic there. I would say professionals who want to be leaders should over-index on emotional and soft skills above and beyond technical skills. So there's a preoccupation with technical skills, and technical skills in these days and times are table stakes. What really drives value are you take your basic technical skills and you add emotional intelligence on top of that. And some examples of emotional intelligence are empathy, the ability to contextualize a problem for a prospect, a client, or a referral source. I also think part of the challenge is that there are a number of professionals that treat selling as not a teachable exercise. It's like you've got to be a natural born salesperson. I don't believe so. I think you can build the skills and then test those skills in driving your ability to connect a challenge to a solution. And that's effectively what really good sales people do. They connect a challenge to a solution. And look, let's demystify this process and let's disabuse ourselves of the notion that, oh, I'm not quite a salesperson in professional services. If you deliver professional services, you are in sales. Parents have to sell their values to their children, just like professionals have to sell their services to clients. So we are all in sales, personally and professionally. And then the other point that I wanted to make is that there's not really a structured way to develop pipelines. Part of that is someone may go to a networking event, come back with maybe 5 different business cards, and these business cards represent professionals maybe from slightly different industries or maybe even slightly different roles. There's not a systematic way to say, all right, look, of these 5 contacts that I have, here's how I'll prioritize and reach out to contact 1, contact 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then having a way to rationalize and systematize that outreach to then manage the pipeline. So that way, when you have that first level interaction after the follow-up, you know what your second level interaction should be. Because oftentimes it does take multiple touch points to truly connect with a professional networking contact in a way that drives a value exchange. So Marco, those are the perspectives that I have on that question.
Next on, question number 4. What shifts when relationships are managed intentionally instead of casually?
Marco, I mean, excellent questions. I've got to say, just your delineation of intentionality with being casual, so intentionally or casually, it's really important. So look, relationships have to be thought of as revenue assets, right? Yes, relationships are qualitative resources like trust, credibility, reputation. It could be a little difficult to immediately quantify trust, but we have to think of these resources as assets, because that's really what they are. And part of how they become true revenue assets is you take them through kind of a journey. So we are all on this journey of discovery, and to get to point B from point A, there has to be a commitment to a value bridge. So that's an important phrase. So how do we bridge the gap? So someone sees us as a point A professional networking contact, and we want to move to a point B professional networking contact where we can deliver more value. There's got to be a commitment to bridge the value gap. And one of the ways to do that is with asking questions, not just providing answers. So oftentimes people can benefit from the questions that you ask. So you could say things like, hey, as part of a number of my networking conversations, I'm seeing this kind of a trend. What are you seeing from your perspective? Or I've noticed that this industry development seems to be picking up some steam. How are you seeing these industry developments on your end? So being value oriented in how we interact. And then in doing so, we start to really key in on what needs to happen next in a relationship. So when we think of kind of a roadmap, part of the benefit of a roadmap or taking someone through a journey is that we know what the next step looks like. And Marco, I've developed a framework, and this is based on decades of experience. It's the AUTO framework, AUTO, AUTO. The A is for awareness, the U is for understanding, the T is for trust, and then the O is for offer. So when we're having some of these interactions, the auto framework actually helps us be a little bit more automatic, but authentically automatic. So we're not robotically automatic, we're authentically automatic in a way that's personable, where we're building awareness, which allows us to build understanding, which then builds trust, and then we can make our offer.
5th and final question. What led you to build Rel2Rev, and what gap is it designed to solve?
Rel2Rev, relationship to revenue. And Marco, thank you so much for asking that question. So just as I believe that relationships matter in relationship matters. So when we think of professional services, the lifeblood of professional services, relationships. So we built Rel2Rev as a strong, serious, successful network of professionals and leaders. It is invite only. In addition to that, we're very focused on how to activate that roadmap from relationship to revenue, from quantitative to qualitative, and then qualitative to quantitative. But we have to start with the qualitative. So we all have access to these relationship networks, personal relationship networks, family relationship networks, professional relationship networks, the ability to take these qualitative resources and then set them on an authentic roadmap to build the kind of awareness, understanding, trust, and offer that then leads to revenue generating activities. So we take it from relationship to revenue, from a qualitative resource to a quantitative result. part of what we do through Rel2Rev is we bring together these strong, successful, serious professionals who leverage relationships to drive business, leadership, and growth. And we brainstorm, we compare notes, and we take action. And part of why I wanted to activate this Q&A series is we're really starting to pick up some very positive momentum with Rel2Rev. In fact, we have a series of in-person events coming up in Chicago, and I'm blessed to have the support of a number of Chicago-based business and leadership-oriented professionals. Watch this space. More information will roll out and be previewed and activated as part of the Rel2Rev network. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments below, or you can reach out to me directly. Thank you.